that Dr. Hanycz was the right individual for Xavier University. And so, Barbara, we're very thankful for your efforts. Someone asked me, as Dr. Hanycz comes on board, what are the things that you need to pay attention to? Actually, I'm the third boy from my family to come to school here. And as I came here in 1968, I said, what are the things that I need to know? And they said, well, you got to know about Dana's. You got to know how to play euchre. You've got to beat UC. You got to eat some Skyline chili. You got to go to Graders. And you got to figure out who these Jesuits are and what it means to be men and women for others. And as I talk to our young freshmen and sophomores and juniors here, I think they get the same instruction, especially the beat UC part, so we'll see. I get to introduce a couple people, but the first person I would like to introduce that come to the podium would be Father Michael Graham. Father Graham is, again, the longest serving president of Xavier University, and he's just deeply dedicated to Xavier University, and he truly has been a man for others. Father.
Thank you very much, Vince. A bunch of us were talking beforehand, and isn't it true that it's really great to see people in a venue other than on Zoom screens? You know, I was saying to some people that I hardly recognize them without the fake backgrounds that they always have behind them. And then just recognizing them from the masks up, that presents a little bit of a challenge, but we make it happen, don't we? Early last March, pre-COVID, pre-masks, pre-social distancing, in what seems like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you and I and others gathered in this very room for what most of you thought was a typical run-of-the-mill, couldn't be more ordinary, post-winter Board of Trustees university convocation. And then it swerved, didn't it? In a direction most of you didn't expect or see coming, and I announced that I'd be stepping down as president here at the end of what is now this coming June. As you perhaps remember, I sketched out for you the reasons for that date. That by then, we will have the Higher Learning Commission review in our rearview mirrors, for example, and we will have learned much from it to inform our next round of strategic planning. And we will. More, by then, we should have completed our current $250 million Together for Others capital campaign, and fingers crossed, we'll have that one finished up as well. Here was the sum of it all, really. Simply put, I said, more or less, this is not quite a direct quote, but almost. It's an improved quote. It's what I should have said back then. Xavier University has never been stronger considered in any number of ways than it is now. Stronger financially, stronger in terms of the quality of our faculty and staff, and stronger as well in their deep appropriation of our Jesuit Catholic identity and mission. Stronger in terms of our enrollment efforts or our organizational effectiveness, our strategic focus of our Board of Trustees and the impact that they have as a result. Stronger in the high regard of our alumni and our friends. Stronger in our positioning within and beyond our local community, and stronger in many other ways besides. And then I said, and this is a direct quote, and because the university has never been stronger than it is now, it has therefore never been better prepared to attract a visionary and capable leader. Which brings us to Dr. Colleen Hanish, doesn't it? This is a cue for your applause. As it became clear to me that she was going to be the board's choice to succeed me, I realized that I'd been doing something since that announcement last March that I hadn't even realized that I'd been doing all along, and that was holding my breath. Because when I learned that Dr. Hanycz, that Colleen, was to be the one, I exhaled in a way, sighed a very large sigh of relief, so large, in fact, that it surprised me. I guess you could put it this way. You don't spend the years that I've spent doing what I've been doing, but that the future of the place where you've spent those years comes to mean a very great deal to you. And that future, our future, I can tell you, is in extraordinary, capable hands. Much will be made of her various firsts, first late president, first woman president, and that is all true. But what is also true is that those firsts for us are not firsts for her. She's been there, and she's done that, as the saying goes, which points to so much else in Colleen and Dr. Hanycz that it's so much deeper. Nearly 13 years of service as president in not only two different, but at two different kinds of Catholic universities. There is nothing that she will hear in the months ahead of her as she transitions and then onboards that she does not already have the intellectual framework to hang exactly in its proper place and then ask follow-up questions. And in those 13 years, I suspect, as only another president can, I suspect that she's seen a lot of tough times along the way and has made a lot of tough decisions, all of which have sharpened her to Xavier's great benefit. And I know for a fact that she's accomplished a very great deal along the way as well. More, she's familiar on a personal level with the Jesuit grace that drives this place, such that her seeing how that grace comes alive, both in this place and in you, well, I suspect that will be a little bit like meeting old friends once again for her. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see what she'll do with all the parts and pieces of this great place in the coming years. What she will make, in fact, out of all the possibilities before her and before us. And I can't wait to be of whatever help I can be to her as she does so. And I know you look forward to doing that too. Back now to Board Chair Vince Capone for a proper introduction. Vince.
A couple things you learn in life. Do not follow Father Graham. Well, Father is right in that Colleen is going to be our 35th president, and she's also the first lay person as well as the first female. You've seen some of her background in terms of her educational history, and I'm not going to review all that, and the fact that she has been at LaSalle a number of years, and then before that in Brescia. One thing that I did find interesting, what I'm going to share with you a little bit, is that Brescia, interesting enough, is the only Catholic women's college in all of Canada. And that if you assume that position, you're in the business of preparing young women to be leaders for tomorrow and for that great country. And so she has great experience in developing that. Some of the things not on her resume that you might be interested in knowing is she does know how to play euchre, although she likes hearts a little bit better. One of her goals on her bucket list is to go to the Kentucky Derby. She grew up with horses and likes horses and can't wait to get down there. Of course, those of us from Indianapolis would like to invite her also to the Indianapolis 500, a different kind of horses, so to speak. She has dogs. She has 4 schnauzers, and so miniature schnauzers. And her daughter, Claire, is quite the rower. And so she spends a lot of her time walking the dogs and cheering her daughter on in her pursuits on the water. I think what you'll find more important than all of that is her commitment to the Jesuit values and our discernment process, as well as coming here at a very exciting time. So with that, could you please help me welcome Colleen Hanycz to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Vince, thank you so much for your generous introduction, and Father Graham, of course, for your gracious words of welcome. And my very warmest greetings to Xavier Nation, here in person and for those of you who are watching live stream. I am so honored and humbled to be standing here today with all of you, recognizing not only Xavier's rich history, but looking into the vast potential of Xavier University's next chapter. Before I begin, if you would, for a moment, I would like to offer a very brief prayer of thanksgiving that I have relied on heavily, especially throughout the past year, as we have all suffered as a community, as a nation, and as a world in so many ways. Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God, loving Creator. We asked for strength, and you gave us difficulties to make us strong. We asked for wisdom, and you gave us problems to solve. We asked for prosperity, and you gave us purpose and brains to use. We asked for courage, and you gave us fears to overcome. We asked for patience, and you gave us situations where we were forced to wait. We asked for love, and you gave us troubled people to help. We asked for justice, and you called us to be just and to lead with integrity. Lord, we have received nothing that we asked for or wanted, and yet we have received everything that we needed. For this we give thanks. Amen. Let me begin by expressing my deepest appreciation to our Board of Trustees, many of whom I know are here today. I've connected with many of you over the past 2 weeks and look so forward to getting to work. My thanks as well to the members of the Presidential Search Committee under Barb Howard's leadership, and to everyone who participated in this search process. It truly takes a village. It was a pleasure to meet you along the way, and yes, to have been selected as the first non-Jesuit and first woman president of this historic institution is an honor that I cannot fully articulate. Although I will tell you, I certainly feel the weight of this moment. As we saw in DC last week, to offer an example to those coming behind you of what is possible is a powerful symbol. I am grateful to have been invited to stand in this place as that symbol, and I assure you I will take it most seriously. Father Mike, I want to thank you for your passionate leadership of Xavier. I have had the rare privilege to follow you, luckily not directly in speaking today, so that's a good thing, building on the extraordinary strengths that you have developed during your 2 decades in this role. Your handprints, I have learned already, are all over this campus community, expanding into the neighborhood that surrounds us and throughout Greater Cincinnati and beyond. I have been a college president, as you've heard, for almost 13 years, and I know how difficult it is to bid farewell, temporarily or permanently, to a community that you love and to which you have given the very best of yourself every single day since arriving. These roles consume us in productive ways as we strive across the board, strengthening every muscle that we can for the greater good. Your inspired leadership of Xavier has advanced this institution in remarkable ways, whether that be our student profile and student outcomes, innovative academic offerings, a stunning campus, and strong athletics, a remarkable body of colleagues who are student-centered and strategic, and frankly, advancing some of the most important conversations going on in this nation today. Finally, engaging the work of other partners outside of the university to support this vision is something that cannot be forgotten in these tremendous achievements. You are indeed leaving this school in a tremendous place as you have laid the groundwork for Xavier's next exciting chapter. Perhaps even more importantly, you have sounded a strong and clear clarion call to action, urging each member of this Ignatian community to imagine a just world, a world of equality, a world of inclusion, and to commit to doing what needs to be done individually and collectively to build that world. To paraphrase the powerful words of our National Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman, from last week's inauguration, we have witnessed a world that isn't broken, but is simply unfinished. So, Xavier Nation, let us spend time in creative energy and in imagining how we will each contribute to that sacred work of finishing this unfinished world for the good of all. My pledge to you, Father Mike, and to this Xavier family is that I will strive every day to build on the magnificent Jesuit mission and identity of this university community, supporting your strong legacy and working with everyone here to write the next chapter in Xavier's storied history, all for one. So, and this may be the part you've been waiting for, what exactly does that next chapter look like? Happily, I have no idea. I shouldn't have an idea, not because I haven't thought about it for hours, because I have, but it's not mine to frame. It is ours to write, and we will write it together. I will continue to do what I've been doing since the day I decided to participate in this search many months ago. I will do my homework, and I will ask questions, and I will read, and I will read, and then I will read some more, and then I will listen and listen and listen some more, and watch for the cues and clues that teach me more about this Xavier family every day. So, cues and clues. Last Sunday, I had the opportunity to watch your Mass live stream from Bellarmine Chapel. For those of you who may not have been able to participate in that liturgy, you should check it out on YouTube. Your SGA president, Mickey Townsend, gave a reflection on the eve of Martin Luther King Day that would have made Dr. King proud. She spoke of her journey, a journey of faith, and a journey that has led her to commit herself to building a world that is, in her words, free of the sin of racism. She spoke of her commitment to that better world and to the fact that as she begins to articulate her life after Xavier, and yes, students, there is life after Xavier, I promise, she will commit to being the change that that world needs her to be. It was a powerful testimony from such a young woman, and I will not forget it. I have seen many similar cues and clues to Xavier's heart, most recently in watching several of your basketball games over the past 2 months. While some of those buzzer beaters have required heart medication, I have loved watching the student press conferences after the game. However hard the media might try to get at the personal accomplishment of these young men and young women who did something that led to a win or a great play, the student athletes 201 persistently resisted that, repeatedly framing their accomplishment as belonging to the team and the coaches and their shared commitment to one another. I'm not even sure if you realize how remarkable that is for young men and women to be in that sort of a space and framework. And while sports analogies are really not my thing, in this case, those student athletes remind us that not one of us alone will ever accomplish what we can and will continue to accomplish together. Over the past 2 weeks since my election by the board, I have had some extraordinary conversations with trustees, with students, with Jesuits, with community partners, with alumni, and with some amazing Xavier faculty and staff who will be my colleagues soon. 201, the focus has been on the unique and special nature of this place, of Xavier. How do we protect that? How do we strengthen and expand and deepen our community? How do we ensure that this community is always a community of men and women for and with others? And what does that mean in 2021 as our world spins on a new axis? All of these conversations provided me with further clues about this family that I have been so graciously invited to join. This community proved that you lived this mission last semester when you were able to be together on this campus, imperfectly, yes, I get that, but together as COVID raged around you. Many others across our sector were simply unable to manage that, but somehow, among other things that you did to make that successful, you were able to put your own individual needs behind the collective needs of the community. Why? Because all of you recognize that there is something about what you are building together here on this campus that needs to be savored and nurtured even when the going is tough. I'm so excited to be joining all of you and continuing my leadership journey in Catholic higher education. I guess that journey, when I think about the beginnings of it, started when I was a freshman years ago at St. Michael's College at the University of Toronto. I've learned a great deal along the way in those 35 years, and I look forward to continuing my education in the months and years ahead here. Peter and I and our children look forward to embracing and to being embraced, frankly, by this warm and generous community. While we have been living here in the United States for almost 6 years now, you will definitely still hear plenty of Canada in our voices, in the outs and abouts, and the odd word or reference that makes no sense to you whatsoever. possible bit of advice, my colleagues at LaSalle have developed the practice of simply nodding and smiling. It's a little bit blank sometimes because I realize they're not understanding something that I've said, but there's definitely an opportunity for that to continue. And on that note, I really want to thank my family for joining me on this exciting journey to Xavier. Of course, COVID doesn't allow them to be with us today, but just a few weeks ago, Peter and I celebrated 25 years of married life, and I cannot help but comment, he is just such a very lucky man. Very, very lucky. It's remarkable, really. All of you will very soon realize that one of the best things about me becoming Xavier's 35th president is that Peter will become part of this community. I suppose, in shopping terms, a really good buy one, get one promotion. We have also had the pleasure, most days a pleasure, of raising 3 great humans. And this family has embarked on a series of adventures that will finally land us in Cincinnati, Ohio in just a few weeks. Our extended family primarily remains in Canada. Hi, Mom. But there are a few of us here in the US with us as well. While COVID, as with for all of you, has made it largely impossible to stay closely connected with our extended clans, our family has been incredibly supportive from a distance and share in the excitement of today. Of note, one of my very closest cousins was ordained a Jesuit priest last spring. I can only imagine that Kevin is praying that I don't mess this up and make him look really bad. Speaking of looking bad, I understand that I may need to find a piece of knit clothing to swing over my head from my seat in the Cintas Center when we're about to win a basketball game. I've been warned that this is a key tradition. In fact, I have heard about this from an alum, from a current colleague, and from a student. So before I arrive in June, I promise I will invest in some sturdy sweater vests and practice to move ahead of next year's home opener, along with throwing the X. I expect that between these, I'm going to need a decent pair of safety goggles for all of the new choreography, but I'm committed to making that work. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting poised at a key watershed moment in the history of higher education in this country as we begin to quietly, hopefully, emerge from this pandemic, not distracted by the challenges that it has brought, but firmly fixed on the opportunities and the blessings that it will provide. Our sector is going to look very different after this pandemic, and we will need to be ready for that. Families who were already questioning the value of a college degree will emerge from COVID perhaps with increased financial strain, with a recognition that really, perhaps, the traditional residential undergraduate model may not be as necessary to prepare their children for reliable careers. As the demographic shifts anticipated in this country begin to arrive, the value proposition will intensify as the true cost of college degrees, debt compounded by years of interest, is weighed against what some will see as lost opportunities. Xavier will continue to need to position itself here at this very intersection of faith and reason, informing women and men for and with others. And in doing that in a way that allows us to lay the foundation for an excellent education, part of the common good, truly, that is accessible to all. And what of how we approach that work in this nation and beyond? COVID has taught us that work is less about time and place and far more about tasks and ideas and the removal of boundaries. Aside from the economic impact of a largely remote and yet effective workforce, how does this impact our thinking about leadership, hierarchies, and the culture of traditional professional practice? And what role must the Catholic University assume in shaping how we think about work and its interaction with family and community and faith? As I look down the road to July 1st and beyond, I am filled with the possibilities of answering together these questions and many others that have not yet even formed in our minds. Our deep commitment to the gifts of a liberal arts education formed in the Ignatian tradition will provide us with all of the tools and framework that we need, and then some, to fully encounter these pressing questions. For the students who are gathered here today, thank you for being with us, a living reminder of why we do what we do. I know that you will offer me lessons about Xavier and your lived mission that will be so critical to my education. I look so forward to being here with you soon. And there will be different and equally valuable lessons that my future colleagues will impart as I join your ranks. So thank you all in advance. And I would ask, as I move into this period of transition, that you keep me in your prayers, as I am also going through a bittersweet process of saying goodbye to another community of students, colleagues, trustees, and friends in Philadelphia, whom I care about so deeply. I have developed some profound and enduring relationships at LaSalle University that will continue after June for sure. I also request that you exercise as much patience as you can with my process of asking questions and listening and learning. I'm certain to make mistakes along the way, but as one of my colleagues once promised, they will only ever be mistakes of exuberance and never mistakes of lethargy. I hope you will recognize the difference and forgive me in advance for any future missteps. Finally, again, my thanks to each and every one of you for gathering here today and to those who have been able to join us remotely. I look so forward to many tremendous conversations in the days ahead. And as the words of the prayer I offered say so well, may our gracious God hear our prayers, asking for what we want, and in turn, grant us everything that we need. Thank you, and let's go X.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. What an exciting day for Xavier it is. With that, our online audience has signed off and closed out the day. I welcome the members of our media. If you'd like to stick around, we have two places, one up here in front and one in the back corner. We have lighting already set up, and Dr. Hanish will be around if you'd like to ask a couple of questions or two. To everybody who has joined us here today, my sincere thanks. What a great day for Xavier it is. Thank you very much, and have an excellent day.